All right, let's see what's going on today. I'm going to give this a minute to make sure people are here. How's everyone doing today? I hope you're good. I found a spot in my house where I could set up my little thing and I would not be backlit because that's always a problem. Like my house, it's a round house. It's got windows all the way around. So anywhere I go, there's like a window behind me and it's always bright and backlighting me. And that just makes me into a silhouette. It messes everything up. But I've hung this right here to block out some windows. Oh, look how bad that is. Actually, that's like not bad. But anyway, that's just my cape. I didn't make it special for this or anything. Or maybe I should call it my cloak because it does have a hood. If it has a hood, it's not a cape, right? Cloak. Anyway, all right, I'm going to waste 30 more seconds just giving people a chance to get here. I like to not get into anything for the first 2 minutes, partly because, everyone has their greetings and hellos and it takes people a minute to get here. Oh, Jansen says, great. Shadowmancer says, woot. Did I pronounce that correctly? I hope so. Anyway, I'm doing pretty good. And I'll tell you why in a minute. All right, we've been here for 2 minutes. Now, I'm gonna get into my usual little monologue here. First, I want to thank. Oh wait, hold on. I flew through Panama City recently and thought of you. Oh, looked at a group of islands east of the city. Is this where you're located? Looked rocky. No, I'm not really close to Panama City. I'm at like the other end of the country. All right, let me get into some business here. Hopefully my video's coming through okay. I'm standing today, not sitting, but I'm gonna try not to move around too much because I know when you move around a lot, it makes the video choppier, and I don't have Starlink. Anyway, so I want to thank this guy who sent me a message recently, and it was just one of those messages that came at the right time because I was feeling a little demoralized, and this happens once in a while, a few times a year here and there. I'll just get demoralized, and I was feeling a bit like I was wasting my time, like I wasn't getting through to anyone, and I look at all the problems in the world, and it's like things are just getting worse and worse, and I'm like trying to do something about it, but what can I do? And then I go on YouTube and I'm like, well, what are people watching right now? And there's like some video with like 20 million views, and I click on it and I'm just like, oh God, this is just giving all the wrong lessons. It's just people bickering and fighting or being like, bling, bling, check out my money in my cars, or what, just stupid garbage nonsense. And I'm just like, yeah, there's like 20 million people watching this. And then I'm like, well, let me look at one of my videos that I think is really important and giving out a good positive message that, can, if people listen to it, they could maybe extend their excellence into the future, and it's got like a couple thousand views, and I'm just like, oh, I feel like I'm trying to hold back an ocean, and I'm just being like swarmed and run over. So that's how I was feeling the other day, feeling a little bit demoralized, and then like just when I was feeling that, I get a message from this guy, and I think it might have come as a message like with a donation or something. But a few people actually sent me donations recently that were unexpected, which was also kind of nice. But this one guy's message, he was basically like, hey, Jaimie, I know it can be difficult to do what you're doing because there are a lot of people who are kind of against you and blah, blah, blah. It can just be difficult to sit there and tell the truth, the stuff that people don't want to hear. And he actually wrote a much more eloquent message than this, but I'm doing as good as I can. And he said, but I hope you keep doing it, and I really appreciate it. You made a huge difference in my life and people I know who we watch you together, and I know you're making a big difference for a lot of other people. And after I read that, I was just like, man, if I am actually making a difference and it's working, well then all I'm doing is feeling sorry for myself. So yeah, that kick in the butt, man, that was good. Thank you for that. That was really great. So I felt much better after that and started started thinking, well, I just got to keep doing my thing, doing the best I can. And then I realized, if I'm getting a good message, even just to a few thousand people, that's a huge thing. Like if I look at throughout history, like the ability to get your message out to like thousands of people, that is huge. Okay, fine. Some people are getting their message out to like millions or even billions of people now because of this fancy technology, but that's just a new thing, man. Being able to help like inspire or whatever thousands of people, or even just connect with thousands of people, that's a kind of ridiculous thing. Anyway, so I've been feeling much better about things after that guy gave me the kick in the butt. Now, second, last week, hold on, here's a nice message. Love your work and love your philosophy. I am also having a daughter, trying to teach her the value of doing things yourself and repairing. It's good to have people like you. Well, thank you, man. Okay, well, the next thing I have to talk about is actually related to that. So last week, I was talking about how I made my kids earn dinner. So I made my kids come out with me and do some digging. And I was basically like, all right, anyone who wants to eat, let's go. And then they came out and did all this digging with me. And then we came in and we're all like, whoa, ready to eat because we're ravenous and real hungry. And then we had dinner, and it was like the best ever, because like even my kids were talking about it. They were like, man, food tastes so good after you do some exercise and some work, and then it feels even better after I feel like I earned this, and this is way better than just getting it for free. And I was like, yes, they're getting the message. Blam, that's what I'm trying to do. And I was talking about this, and a few morons, excuse my French, but I got to call it the way I see it. A few morons wrote, very concerned that I'm not feeding my children, that I'm starving my children, that I'm just being a terrible father. Oh my gosh. If you had any idea of the amount of the sheer amount of parenting I put my children through, oh my gosh. I mean, like every day, every time I see them, I'm just like, I'm going to be your dad, and I'm going to teach you things, and I'm going to be a parent, and I'm going to father the crap out of you. Oh my God, it's I don't know how they can put up with it. It's just unbelievable, the abuse I put my children through. Like being a father over and over and over. You know what else I do? I also make them clean up. I don't just let them do whatever I make them clean up. I'm like, no, you have to clean that up. You can't just leave that there. This is not even an option. This is not a democracy. I am the patriarch. Is that what you call it? I am the boss. I am your dad. You have to clean that up. You have no choice. Another thing we do is we have this, well, it's not going to make any sense to anyone, but every once in a while I'll say, all right, we need blubs. Let's go. And blubs refers to the water here. So you go get gallons of water, put them up on the thing, and it goes blub, 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 blub. This is why we call it blubs. So whenever I say we need blubs, it means we need to get water. And I have 4 1-gallon jugs, and I have 4 kids. And whenever they're here, they take care of the water. And every once in a while, a kid will be like, oh, I don't feel like it. And you know what I say? Oh my God, you would not believe it. Oh, I say to that kid, do you want to drink water, or do you want to die of thirst? And then they take the jug and they go fill it up and bring it back in the house, and then we put it on the thing, and then we have water. Now, if you're an idiot and you hear that story, all you're going to hear is, oh, you're threatening to make your kids die of thirst. Ooh. Come on. Really? Seriously. So this is one of the very big reasons I left North America. Because in North America, and in a lot of other places in the world, but we're not going to get into it, but in these horrible places in the world, parenting is like not allowed. You're not allowed to teach your kids anything. So if I tell my kids, if you want to drink water, you need to go get the water. You know what that does for them? That first, it makes them go get the water. Second, it makes them understand that the water is not just free. It's not just, they're not just like entitled to stuff all the time. And this is a huge, huge, huge important lesson. If you have kids, you need to teach them that they are not entitled to all the stuff you give them when they're little. Now, I also have like a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old, and I do the same thing with them, and they generally help. But if my 2-year-old doesn't carry a water, and I'm not going to make her go thirsty. But the older kids, I'm like, no, you have to do it. You have to get the water. If you want to drink water, and if you want food. Oh, here's another one I do. When we have dinner, we cook on fire with a wood fire, and I'll tell my kids, here, let's make dinner. We need wood. Who's going to get wood? Someone has to go get the wood, or we don't have dinner. This is the way the world works. So one of the reasons I left, I didn't want to raise my kids in the United States or Canada, is that there are so many, like, what do you call these people who just want to charge in and save everyone? Like say I'm having a problem with a kid doing something inappropriate inside, and I say, no, you have to go outside until you're ready to come in and act like an inside person. Maybe they're crashing around, breaking things or something, or going crazy, whatever, it doesn't matter. If I tell my kid, you have to go outside until you're ready to come in and act like a reasonable person. You can act like an animal, a wild lunatic, all you want outside, but to come back in, you have to calm down. But if you do that in North America and your neighbor sees one of your kids outside, they'll come over. Hey, kid, what are you doing outside? My daddy won't let me come inside. Oh my gosh, I'm going to call child services. That's child cruelty, that your father is teaching you this important lesson. And then, it's just idiotic. And then the kid sits there and thinks, oh, so my dad's doing the wrong thing. My parents are doing the wrong thing trying to teach me a lesson. They're not teaching me a lesson. They're teaching you a lesson. And then, you can't be a parent. You can't teach your kids the right things in that environment where there are always constantly freaking morons standing around just waiting to say, hey kid, you shouldn't be in this situation. You should be getting whatever you want, anytime you want. And if your parents aren't giving it to you, they're neglecting you, they're treating you poorly. And you see the results of this in our society. How many adults do you know who are just completely irresponsible? They think they're entitled to everything because when they were a 3-year-old child, they got everything given to them. And then they never progressed past that because they didn't have parents. They got sent to daycare. Their parents were either unavailable or too afraid to actually parent them and try to teach them any sort of responsibility, or teach them to value their own hard work, and teach them that when you do something good, you get something good. Not out of some artificial reward, not some sticker or something. No, you go get the water, you actually get water to drink. It's a natural thing. It's how the world works. If someone goes and gets the firewood, we can make a fire, we can cook the food. Someone go get the firewood, someone put water in this pot, I'm going to do this, and we work together and make things happen that are important, that we need. When you teach your kids that stuff, then they grow up and become responsible adults that aren't freaking morons and just ruining everything around them. They learn that their actions actually matter. And that's why I do that. And I'm not going to stop doing that because some idiots on the internet are like, oh, you got to treat your kids better. Seriously? I treat my kids amazingly. And here's the other thing. They have never missed a meal because they didn't do something. And also, if you met my kids, there is no way you would look at my kids and think, oh, those kids are malnourished. They have malnutrition. No, my kids are they're just like rippling muscles, while 2 of them are just like built like linebackers. They're just like solid, like really muscly. And then my other 2 kids are super skinny. like I was when I was a kid. And you might think, well, those skinny kids, they're not getting enough food. But then you see them pick up something or move, and it's just like muscles. They're just solid muscles. They're skinny, but they're strong. And my kids run around with energy. And so, yeah, you don't have to worry about my kids. Worry about yours. Wait, where's my camera? So worry about yours. Worry about your kids. Okay, so what's going on here? How are you guys doing? Oh, let's see. I flew through Panama City. I read that. Yay, off-grid is the way. I love living off-grid. Man, seriously, like once I moved off-grid, I could not even entertain the idea of moving back to a city. It would just I didn't even want to be in a city. It's just horrible and claustrophobic, and you can't do anything anywhere ever without getting permission or paying money. It's like, when you're out in the wilderness, it's just like there's freedom. It's free. And like, sure, there are things that could come and kill you at any time, but there are things that can kill you anywhere, anytime. So I don't know. People sometimes think, if you're living out in the wilderness, what if a spider bites you? They have spiders in cities. And you know what else they have in cities? Guns, people shooting each other. A stray bullet could go through your head and you could die. Someone could drop an air conditioner out of their window and kill you. I mean, like, stuff can kill you anywhere. Anyway, living off grid, man, I love it. I love you, Jaimie and fam. Oh, thanks. Mechanism 8. Mechanism 8 loves me. Been a fan for so long. All right, we got some thumbs up. Hey, Jeff, how you doing? Airs 11. Am I pronouncing that right? Airs. It's my Airs. Love your work and love your philosophy. I read that one earlier. It's good to have people like you. Airs 11. Yes. Okay. What is status of lumber mill? What is the status of my lumber mill? Well, I think I'm actually up to date on my videos with the lumber mill right now. Like I uploaded a video yesterday, and I just finished making that yesterday. And so, okay, I've done a tiny bit today. I took the 2 lumber mill pieces apart so I can start figuring out what to do with the next part. But yeah, the lumber mill videos are pretty much up to date. Caught the live before I go to bed. I don't know where Sam off-grid lives, but I hope you have a good sleep. Okay, don't bother with concern trolls. You do great. Well, I gotta pay attention to the concern trolls. I live on the same planet as them, and I've never really bought the idea that you should not respond to people who are trolls. And at first, when I would do this, I don't know, 400 years ago when I first started making these videos, trolly comments and messages would come in, and at first I always responded to them. Now I just don't have time or energy, but I would always respond to them. And a lot of people would say, oh, don't respond to those trolls, you're just encouraging them. But, a lot of times people end up in bad states. Like they end up in a bad place mentally, and often it's because they have some difficulties going on in their life and stuff. And a lot of times when they're being trolls, they're really just like crying out for someone to some help. Like that's a lot of what acting out is a lot of times. And obviously no one is required, no one's obligated to respond to that. And I'm certainly not obligated to respond to that. But I think it is good to respond to that stuff, because if you never respond to it, then the people saying things that don't make sense never get any feedback. And often they'll just end up doing the same thing over and over, never getting any feedback saying, hey, I'm calling you out on this. It doesn't make sense. And, a lot of people say don't do it, but I think it is important to do that at least sometimes. And I've also gotten messages over the years here and there from people who were trolls. Like this one guy years ago, he sent me a message saying, 6 months ago, I sent some really snarky messages to you, and you responded to them, basically calling me out as kind of the idiot I was being. And I really thank you for that, because I was having difficulty in life, and I was just kind of doing the wrong things. And when you said that, at first it made me really angry, and then after 2 weeks of stewing about it, I started to realize, well, no, he's kind of right. I am kind of being a jerk, and now I've stopped doing it. So at least one guy who was being a troll changed it, because I said something to him about it, and I'm sure there are. And I mean, I've gotten a few messages like that. So I don't think it's always the best policy to just ignore people because they're doing the wrong thing. I think often it's like people need to hear things, and if I'm doing the wrong thing, sometimes people will say something to me, and even if my first reaction is, I don't like that, it always makes me think about it later, and then I'm like, wow, yeah, maybe I am being a bit of a schmuck or whatever. Maybe that person is kind of right, and then that kind of thing happens a lot. So I do try to bother with the trolls a little bit here and there. Thanks for sharing. Saw build is looking awesome. Yeah, I'm really happy with the lumber mill so far. Of course, no guarantee it's going to keep going amazingly well, but right now it's looking real good. And I have pretty much all the parts to finish it, except for whatever track I'm going to put it on. Yeah, I don't know what I would build a track at. I'm sure I could find something around here I could use, but I think I'm going to buy something, like something to build the track. Not sure what. It's good to give them tiny work and understand consequences. It's the little things. Yeah, so this is talking about kids. It is really important to kind of to get your kids involved in things where they do something that they might not necessarily want to do, but then they get some positive result, because then they start to learn that, maybe cleaning up is actually a good thing. Maybe it is, even though at first I don't feel like cleaning up my room or whatever, but after I clean it up, it's so nice. So it's not like I'm going through this horrible ordeal. No, I'm making my life better, and it's really important to give your kids those experiences so that they learn to be responsible, and so that they learn to appreciate their own responsibility. Because if you go through life, if you go through your whole childhood never learning the value of earning something, then you become an adult and you don't want to earn anything. And when you get a job, it's like, I have to do this horrible thing 40 hours a week so that I can enjoy the weekend. But instead, if you enjoy your hard work and you can say, I'm doing hard work, I'm doing things that matter, and then you can enjoy the whole week, not just the weekend, and you can have a much better life that way. Let's see. Which one will grow sweet potatoes and which one will tend honeybees? You're talking about my kids. Yeah. It's good to give them tiny work and understand consequences. Yeah. Okay, that came twice. Oh no, I pushed the wrong button. Your kids have it better than most. Yeah, if you're gonna talk about my kids' life and how terrible or good it is, my kids have a pretty awesome childhood. I'm a little bit jealous of how good my kids' childhood is. And you could easily look at them and say, this is so stupid. I don't even want to say it, but people think this. You could easily look at my kids and say, well, they don't even have smartphones or tablets or their own computers or all this fancy stuff that all the other kids have. They're not watching the newest TV shows, doing all the cool stuff. So they're being neglected or falling behind or whatever. But then you could also look at it and say, my kids have a tree fort that they go and build, and they play in the dirt and they run around and they make stuff all day, and they're so active in the real world, stuff they can touch with their real hands. Maybe those other kids are missing out on all that. Like whatever your kids are doing, whatever they have, someone else has something different, and you just kind of have to choose which thing you think is the best. And when I look at it, my kids have some pretty awesome stuff going on. I think my I think my chat got stuck there. Okay, there we go. Oh man, I missed a whole bunch of messages. I'm scrolling way up. It told me I was at the end of my messages here, and I just reset the thing. Okay. Hopefully I'm not missing anything. Okay. I agree it was in USA, you would have CPS called all the time on you. Yeah. So Child Protection Services, is that CPS? So yeah, I used to get people constantly threatening me online to call child services because I'm raising my kids in the woods like animals, and just all this ridiculous stuff. Of course, now I'm in a country where I don't think I have to worry about that, especially since there are like 1,000 kids in the area here who definitely have much more neglectful lives than my children. So yeah. And I actually knew a lady in the United States who had some kids in school, and she kept having problems with this one teacher. Like this one teacher just hated her family or something. And she still had 2 kids in the school, and her older ones were already out. And the problems with this teacher got so bad that she took her kids out of school and started homeschooling them. And the principal of the school called Child Protection Services and said this lady's homeschooling, she should have her kids here in school, and it just made this big thing. And then this lady had to prove to Child Services that she's allowed to raise her kids. It's just disgusting. Truth. Good night. Montessori Thought School thinks the same like you. Kids need to participate in daily life and can contribute towards family, or just toward everything around them, like just toward life and the world around them. You have to teach your kids that whatever they do matters. Whatever they do does have an effect on the world around them. And Montessori schools. Okay, so I understand that Montessori schools are supposed to be pretty cool. However, I worked at a Montessori school once, and it had the name Montessori School, and it was horrible. I was an art teacher in this place, and I quit after like 2 months because I was just like, this is a horrible waste of time. So the way the art classes went, oh, this is so stupid, is I was supposed to have a picture that I was supposed to draw. And every kid was supposed to have a paper, and they're supposed to copy all the lines that I make. And I'm basically supposed to get them to draw one picture they all look the same, that looks reasonable, that they can then take to their parents and say, look what I drew. And then their parents will say, wow, my child is so amazing. They could copy stroke for stroke this idiot art teacher who just made them all draw the exact same picture using no imagination whatsoever. Oh, it was horrible. So the way I did it was I would spend half the class drawing that picture, and I would rush the kids through it as fast as I can. And I'd tell them, we have to do this picture. I am required to do this. But once we get this picture done, I'll give you an all new piece of paper. You can draw whatever you want. And that was frowned upon. So yeah, I eventually quit. But that's not how Montessori schools are supposed to be. But just be careful. If a place says Montessori school, it doesn't necessarily mean it is. I have to speed up to catch up. Oh, I think it's hilarious that some people watch this at like 2 times speed so they can catch up. 40 watching, only 10 thumbs up. Hit the button. I didn't even know I guess the thumbs up gets you in the algorithm more or something. I don't know. Poor parenting is a thing in modern society, sadly. Media taking over parental duties. Yeah, media takes over parental duties, the government. I mean, just, oh, it's terrible. And now it's been going on enough generations that it's just people just presume they're not supposed to raise their kids, which is if you just think about it, if you just stop and think about it, you realize that raising your kids should be the number one priority in your life. Like that is the most important thing you can do, is raising your kids to be good pieces of the future. And that doesn't mean that nothing else is important. You have all kinds of other things important going on in your life. You shouldn't like ruin your life to raise your kids, but raising your kids should be like top priority. It's the most important thing you can do. And when you accept that it is the most important thing that you can do, then you can start thinking about, oh, how do I actually include my kids in all this other stuff I want to do in my life? Like they don't get shoved aside like ever. Make them part of everything you do. Well, not everything you do. Occasionally there's some naked activities you just want the kids to be asleep for. But like, you know what I mean. Where are my kids? Sam Off Grid says. Do you have kids? If you have kids, I hope you know where they are. How many solar panels would it take to run a welder? Any plans to welder? To weld? Any plans faux welder? All right. So it's not such a simple question. Like if you're running a welder directly off solar panels with no batteries, that's one thing. But if you're running off batteries, like one solar panel, as long as you charge the batteries, then you can just weld off the batteries. Like you have like a few golf cart batteries, you can weld off that, run a welder. Not like constantly for hours or anything, but as long as you let them charge between, yeah, you can do it. Now, if you're welding directly off the solar panels, I've done that on the Shark Slicer, which is my one boat that's right outside. It's right there. It has 10 solar panels on it. They're each either 250 watts or 275 watts. And what I do when I weld on that, I haven't done it in a while, but I'll take wires from the solar panels. So all 10 solar panels are connected in parallel to increase the amperage. So what I have in these wires is like about 30 or so volts, and what's it like 100 amps ish, maybe a little less than that, 90, 100 amps. That's what these wires can deliver. So I use vice grips and I clamp one wire to the piece of material that I'm welding, and I'll clamp the other wire onto a welding stick, a welding rod, like an arc welding rod, and I can weld with that with 10 solar panels. Oh, I just saw a fly. So like 2,600 watts worth of solar panels or so. But yeah, if you just want to do like intermittent welding, you can just do it off the batteries as long as you have decent batteries. Wellness check on Tomators. Where is Tomators? Have you ever seen the self-propelled chainsaw video? It's funny. Whenever one of these things comes up, I'll get sent the same video like 50 times at least. Yes, there's a guy who did a self-propelled chainsaw video. I've been sent that many times. I took a look, and it's not anything I want to do. So, Bitcoin is up. Excellent. That is good. Yeah, I checked this morning. It went up to like 20,000 per coin. Question: did you see that? Oh God, probably not, because I don't really watch videos. Did you see that Hacksmith Industries on YouTube built a spider mech? After I watched it, I thought that they really would have benefited if they had talked to you first. Yeah, like 4 different people sent me that video like yesterday. And I looked real quick, but the thing is, I didn't find it particularly interesting, because all they were doing was making like 6 hydraulic legs and running them with a computer. To me, that's not really a challenge. I mean, that's just kind of easy. That's sort of super easy. Like, I mean, it's cool that they're doing it though. Great. Did it work well? I hope it works well, because like they made it in the simplest way they could possibly do it. Like if I'm going to build something like that, I want to actually figure something out, not just run a bunch of hydraulic things with a computer and just program it all to do the right thing. That's like kind of super easy to do. Like I want to do it with some kind of elegant mechanical parts that do some amazing things. So I mean, it was a cool thing, but yeah, and I wasn't as interested in it as I could have been. I'm in Utah. Off-grid property is in Colorado. Just work graveyards and weekends. It's lame, but it funds the dreams. Oh, that's cool. So you have an off-grid property in Colorado, and you're in Utah. I actually looked at going to that area for a while. There's a lot of land out in that area, like Utah, Arizona, Colorado, where you can buy like a square mile of land for, I don't remember what the prices were. It was like not that much money. I mean, not like $40, like $100,000 or something. But Vasco Zuzus, I saw. It seems like they took just as long to make theirs with a higher budget and roughly failed. Oh no, did they make their spider robot and it didn't really work? Yeah, the reason I wasn't interested in that spider robot that much, I mean, I'm kind of interested because I like that kind of stuff and it's cool, but yeah, it was just like they had all this money to dump into it and the guy's just like, oh, we'll just get 6 backhoes and weld them together basically, and then hook up a computer, and I don't know, it's I feel like there's a more interesting way to do it. Really going to crash how adventure builders really going to crash now. Oh, really going to crash now. Oh, okay. Sorry, I totally read that wrong the first time. Adventure builders for life. Good night, off-grid Sam. Have a good night. The Pure Living for Life channel's recent video on troll stalkers was really eye-opening. What did they say about trolls and stalkers? I don't even know. Stalkers is worse. Stalkers is definitely worse than trolls. And I've had some people like kind of come after me over the years, which is one of the reasons that I like being on an island that's kind of hidden, in Central America. It's not that easy to get here. And even if you're here, you can't really see my house from outside of the island. It just looks like you can see it a little bit, but it's a pretty well hidden place. I kind of like it. Oh, let's see, what did I miss here? Yeah, what did they say about trolls and stalkers? I'd be interested to hear. I must say, Jaimie, that I really like you being back doing your things and filming, i.e. building stuff with what you have and your ideas and just making it work. Makes me want to start doing YouTube again. Well, great, do yourself tech and repairs. Ooh, that sounds like fun. At Basil, yeah, if only they gave Jaimie that budget. What was their budget on that thing? Yeah, when I made my first giant robot, I basically had no budget. I made everything out of garbage, like from the local scrapyard, and I did buy a few things, but yeah, it was a very low budget. Even while I'm doing my lumber mill here, almost all the materials, the bolts, the nuts and bolts were new. But almost all the materials came from either the scrap yard in town. It's not really a scrap. I guess it is scrap yard. This is a little scrap yard. Yeah, most of it is just scrap. And then some of it I got from a guy who was just getting rid of some stuff. And he's like, here, you might be able to use this. Yeah, I bought very few parts on my lumber mill so far. Even the motor. The motor used to be in a guy's sailboat. And he posted online saying, I'm getting rid of this. Does anyone want to buy it? He was selling it for, I don't know, less than new, significantly less than new. So I took that, and it's a good motor. No, trolls that are real, it's okay to them. But if they are bot accounts, save your time as they are not real. Oh. What is up with all the bots? Like, what is that really like what we should be doing with AI? Like, is that really the valuable thing? Like, this is what bores me about technology. I love technology. It's just the way people are using it today is just not in ways that improve our lives. We're wasting so much amazing innovations and technology on just the dumbest stuff. Like let's program a chatbot to be annoying. Why? Like what a waste of all this stuff. Kids needs to learn delayed gratification. Yes, they do need to learn delayed gratification. And it's very easy to not teach them that, particularly in the world today where people complain, oh, you can't deprive your children of something. No, you're not depriving them of anything. You're teaching them something. You're giving them the chance to do things for themselves. That's not taking something away from them. Cement curbs for track. Are you talking about, oh, the lumber mill track? I did think about making like concrete things that I could just drive down. But I think I want to do like a stainless steel track, maybe just a couple stainless steel pipes, something like that. Children becoming cognizant of how the world works and how they themselves work are strengthened against mental health issues. That is totally true. Yeah. And one of the things that really annoyed me when I was a kid growing up was the fact that I turn on the water and it just works. And I don't know where it comes from. And I remember when I was a kid, I was like this little 4 or 5-year-old, and I'm like following the pipes under the sink, and like I follow them into the basement. I'm like, where do these go? Where's the water coming from? And my parents are just like, I don't want to deal with you right now. And finally I find out, where it comes from, and they're like, it comes from the water tower. And I'm like, where's the water tower? Oh, well, I don't know, it's some reservoir somewhere. I'm like, you don't even know how this works. Why? I want to know how it works. Or like light switches. When I was a kid, I hated that I could just flick this little switch and then light would turn on. And I'd be like, why is it doing that? Oh, it's because of the electricity in the wires. Where are the wires? They're inside the wall. Can I see them? I want to see them. Where's the electricity coming from? Where is it being made? I had all these questions, and it would always very quickly get to a point where it's like, just shut up. It's fine. It works. Just shut up. So one of the things I always try to do with my kids is I have the water. They know where the water tank is. They know where the water comes off the roof, goes into the gutter, goes into the water tank. They know how the water tank, gets water to the little spigot. They know it all. They know where the solar panels are. They can see the wire coming down. They see it going into the charge controller, into the batteries, and they see how all this stuff works. And I think that's a hugely valuable thing to learn when you're a kid, to see when you're a kid. And I do understand why people want to hide all that stuff, because it's pretty. You go into a house, you got drywall covering up everything. It's pretty. It looks nice, but it's not conducive to making your brain work. Just staring at white walls, like, yeah, it's pretty, it's nice, but I want to know what's going on behind that wall. So I always keep my stuff exposed. Like you can see the wires in my house, and they're not like all over the place where kids are going to be tripping on them and stuff. They're like, neatly put where they need to go, but you can see them. Back to children, giving them positive experiences from work. You give them the heightened resistance to frustration, yes, which is valuable for life. That's good guidance and parenting. Yes, I mean there is no reasonable argument that you can make against forcing your kids to earn things. Unless you're forcing them to earn something that they can't actually earn and it's something they need. Like, no, but if you're like, hey kids, you want dinner? You got to help make dinner. It's all benefit. Kids, you want to drink water? We got to get the water. You guys got to help. They benefit. They just benefit from that. It's just insane to me that people are like, oh, you're starving your children. Like I'm gonna make my kids die of thirst because I make them participate. Here's the thing. You might stupidly think if you tell your kids they have to get water to be able to drink, you're going to make them starve. No, what's actually going to happen is they're going to understand how the water works. And in the future, when I'm not there, when I'm dead and they're still alive, they're going to know that they have to get the water for themselves to drink. So they're not going to just die of thirst because they're going to learn to take care of themselves. So yeah, the whole they're going to starve if you're making them do things and they're going to die of thirst. It doesn't make sense in the long term at all. That's super smart and wouldn't take a long time and work pretty well. I don't know. He was talking to Sam off grid. I don't know what that one was. Elliot says, what considerations have you for defending yourself and family out there? Well, depends what we're defending ourselves from. One, I'm like super strong. You know, practice my kung fu and do lots of exercise and get a six pack and some pecs and some muscles, and we also play lots of hide and seek. So we're good at sneaking around and like being unseen like little ninjas if we need to be. Oh, I see a mosquito. Hold on. Oh, I think I got him. Anyway, but then there's things like if you're talking about the need for guns or weapons of various kinds. I have stuff in my house that I could. All right, now I got him. Sorry, it was that mosquito. I missed him the first time. I could build a gun today, like a good functioning gun. So if I need to, if things get to some point where I feel like I need a gun, I can produce a gun relatively quickly. You know, it's really the whole thing about defending your family. It's like I don't know what the threat is. If people are coming onto my island threatening me, I will defend my family in whatever way I have to. If I have to kill people to protect my family, I will do it without hesitation. Like I don't know. It depends on the circumstance, on the situation. I'm strong and skilled enough that I could kill another human being with a rock if I had to throw it and I had nothing else on me. But I do have a lot of stuff, and I'm not going to sit here and list everything that I could use as a weapon to kill someone because I don't want everyone to know that. So I don't know. Basically, if I have to defend my family, I will do it with great vigorousness and ruthlessness. I don't know what else to say about it. Oh, let's see. Oh, and I also, you know, try to teach my kids to take care of themselves and make smart decisions. And, you know, we do play hide and seek, so they know how to hide. And if I tell them, kids, hide, they can do it, and no one will find them. I mean, you could find them eventually. Question, would you teach your children also computer-related skills, like video editing or music or programming? Yes, actually. So my kids have done a little bit of programming. They weren't that into it, so we kind of put it aside for a while, but I might try doing that a little bit again and see if they're more interested in it. When I was working on, I haven't done this in a while, but I was working on a video game for a while. Like I finished one video game, and that one's out there, you can play it. It's called Adventure Builder? I think it's just called Adventure Builder. Anyway, while I was working on the video game, and I started making a newer one, they would look over my shoulder and, you know, see what I was doing and ask about what's going on, and I would show them, and they start making suggestions. So they get involved with computer programming that way. And I'm kind of waiting for the point where one of them is like, hey, I want to program a game or something, you know. That'll probably happen at some point. And then just general technological stuff. Yes, I get them involved in things. Like they see me editing videos a lot, and a lot of it is just them being over my shoulder, like watching what I'm doing and saying, well, trim that there and then cut this off. And I'm like, yeah, you're right, exactly. And then, you know, they just kind of get involved a lot by just seeing the example. And that's one of the reasons I like working from home, because I can do all that stuff with my kids there, and anytime they want, they can see what I'm doing and kind of, be nosy. And I try to never get annoyed about it. Like it can be kind of annoying having a kid staring over your shoulder, but if I'm doing something that they can learn about, I just say, yes, look over my shoulder, get involved as much as you want. Respect, Jaimie. I've been watching for years. Oh, great. How far along is the sawmill versus the videos? Why did you go with a circular blade versus a bandsaw? Well, I've answered that question like every live for the last 3 or 4 weeks, but it's a good question. The sawmill is currently up to date. Oh, there's another mosquito. Why are there mosquitoes in here? Usually there are never mosquitoes in here. Oh, I think I missed. Get over here! Kids, where's my kids? I need some kids to attack a mosquito. All right, they got away. Yeah, so the lumber mill videos are currently up to date. And there are a few reasons I chose a circular saw blade over a bandsaw. The thing is that the advantage of a bandsaw is that you can cut. Yeah, got him. The advantage of a bandsaw is you can cut really wide boards. So you can cut like full slabs off a log, which is great. The first lumber mill I made was a bandsaw, and I could cut like a 2-foot wide cut, which was amazing. I can make these huge boards. There are some downsides to bandsaws. One, you can't just go get a blade at the store. Like you have to order it. And I'm in a place where it takes a month for me, or it takes up to a month. It depends. But like it can take up to a month for me to get something. So if I'm cutting and I break my blade, I guess I would just have to have backup blades and make sure I keep an eye on them, make sure they don't get rusty or anything while I'm not using them. The other thing is you have to keep sharpening them, or else, well, you just have to keep sharpening them. And then, you got to have everything tuned just right, or else your blade starts wobbling up and down and screwing up your boards. Like a bandsaw blade is amazing when everything is going perfectly. But if anything's not quite right, it's just a mess. And the other downside of a bandsaw blade is you have to move the log. So if you have like a 1-ton log or more, you have like a 1-ton log, and you get it to the lumber mill, you're not done moving it. You got to cut like this, and then you turn it 90 degrees and do another cut. Oh, did I just freeze? Did I just freeze in the most horrible facial expression ever? Like halfway through a blink. Oh, that's hilarious. I don't know if everyone else is seeing it that way, but let me just push the button to fix my thing. Okay, hopefully, I don't even know if that froze for everyone else, but I froze on my camera. So you have to move the log for a bandsaw mill, because you can make a cut, but you can't make a cut this way. You got to turn the log, and if it's like 2,000 pounds of wood, it's not that easy to move. Now with a swing blade lumber mill, you get your log in place. You don't have to move it anymore, and so. Let me just draw a log, put a bit of bark on it. All right, say this is your log. You just leave it there, and your swing blade, you can cut a vertical cut, and then you can cut a horizontal cut, and then you can cut another vertical cut, and you can cut another horizontal cut, and you can just keep going like that and take chunks out. Although my lumber mill does have a nut sticking out of the bottom of the blades. So I have to actually go like this. I have to go and then go up a bit, and then the next board, and then up a bit, the next board, but whatever. But you just leave the log in place, and you just, keep cutting boards out of it as you go. Now you can't cut like a 2-foot wide board unless you have a really big blade that can cut like, a foot down one side and a foot back on the other side to get that big a board, which is, you need a huge blade for that. And I'm not using a huge blade because I wanted to use a blade that I could find easily. like that I can conceivably buy a replacement for in town, like if I go to a store, that I would not necessarily have to order. Or, just like blades that are cheap enough that I could order a few and just keep them. I have two blades right now that I bought for the lumber mill, and they were not that expensive because they're just like, table saw blades kind of thing. Now, another really good thing about the circular saw blades is they have carbide tips. So they last much longer before you have to sharpen them. And you can sharpen them with a diamond file, but they last really long compared to just the bandsaw blade teeth. Another thing is the circular saw blade cuts a much smoother cut. So you end up with a much smoother surface on the board. Um, and a bandsaw does a pretty good job, but just not as nice as a circular saw blade. So yeah, there are a whole bunch of reasons. A lot of it just came down to, just the availability of blades and the longevity of the blade. Like a circular saw blade, even if the machine is pretty beat up, you can still make a straight cut. It's just with a bandsaw, if anything is wrong, it just turns into a mess. All right, hopefully that explains that. Oh no, I accidentally scrolled to the bottom. How far back was I? Oh. Well, let's see. Jaimie. Okay, there we are. Jaimie, I love, respect you show for others and how you handle the trolls and still care for the feelings. That is awesome. Well, thanks, man. I think there were a couple typos in there, or maybe I just read it wrong. But yes, I get what you're saying. I am behind, I know. Mad respect, sir. Oh, thank you. Have you seen the recent research done by a guy named Admir Masick on Roman concrete? He believes they used quicklime instead of or in addition to slake lime, giving the concrete self-healing properties. Oh, I didn't know that. I do want to get some quicklime though and start putting it in concrete. I haven't done that yet, obviously, but I want to get some. Is it quicklime I'm thinking of? Hydrated lime, type S hydrated lime. And at some point, I also want to make my own, I want to slake shells and, make my own. Oh, I thought that was called quicklime. No, I don't remember. Oh, anyway, I want to make my own concrete stuff. But I just don't have time for it yet. Why do you never use welding when you build stuff? I do sometimes use welding. However, like on the lumber mill, for example, and actually on a lot of other things, I like to bolt things together because then I can get them apart. And there are several projects I've done where I've made something and then either I want to change something. And if you want to change something and you welded it together, that means grinding and cutting and you kind of make a mess. But if you bolted it together, you just take your bolts out, take the thing apart, drill some new holes or whatever you need to do to put it back together. It just makes it much, much easier to make adjustments and change things. And the other thing is, sometimes I'll make something, use it for a few years, and then I'll get to a point where I'm like, oh, I'm not really using this thing anymore. And then I can take all the bolts out, take it all apart, and then I can use the parts for something else. As opposed to when something's welded, again, if it's welded together, you have to like hack it apart and it makes a mess and it's, not, the pieces are less valuable. So anytime I can get away with bolts, I do that. And then my second choice is rivets. Because rivets are pretty easy to drill out and stuff, but it does waste a rivet. Although anytime I drill out a rivet, I get a washer. So, but I do weld things occasionally. I currently have no welding set up though. But if I need to weld something, I can set up something pretty easily. I do have a welder. I don't know if I'd want to run it much on my current electrical system. Hi, Jaimie. Adventure buildering has totally inspired me. I set up my first solar panels. Oh, that's excellent. Felt so good, straight from nature to us. You are helping a lot of people. Well, thank you, Giant Oak. Are you actually like a giant guy? Like a giant oak? I used to know this guy who was like, I think he was 6'8", and he weighed over 300 pounds. He was a shot putter on the track team that I was on years ago. He was a giant guy. That was cool. They spent a year and a half and it didn't work well at all. Oh, this is the spider robot. Oh, that's terrible. I feel bad. Like if someone maybe I shouldn't watch that video then about the spider robot. Because like if you have a budget, like a big budget, and you can basically do whatever you want, and you use all these materials, I'm just going to be sitting there watching it thinking like, what a waste of cool stuff. They could have done something so much better. Anyway. Man, giant oak, that's cool. You got your solar panels set up. Yeah, isn't it amazing? Like even if people say, solar panels aren't economical or whatever, like just being responsible for your own energy, it's a huge thing. It's yeah, just having that self-sufficiency is really good. It also makes it so you're much more likely to use less energy too. Because I don't know, maybe it's not like this for everyone, but for me, if there's a cloudy day and I'm not getting much electricity, I just won't use much. And I'll just be like, yeah, it's fine. I would rather be getting my own electricity than have unlimited free electricity. Well, not free, unlimited electricity from the grid and then have to pay at the end of every month. Let's see. I think a floating sinking dock could be a cool build videos, but also super useful for your boat's barnacles. Yeah, I've been thinking about doing something like that. So a floating sinking dock would basically be something where you've got, a dock maybe made out of like 55-gallon drum kind of things, or maybe some custom-made fiberglass, whatever. And if it's flooded with water, it would sink, right? But then you have a compressor or whatever to pump air into it. So you could sink it, drive a boat onto it, and then not inflate it because it doesn't change shape, but fill it with water. Fill the ballast, I guess is what it's called. Fill the ballast tanks with air, and then it would float up and lift up the whole boat. Yeah, I've been thinking about making one of those. Funny that you mention it, because that would be super useful. Like to get even just parking a boat, because often I'll park a boat and I won't drive it for days. Like right now, well, I drove it last night. Okay, never mind. But I'm not planning on going anywhere today in my boat. Maybe tomorrow, I don't know. But I often go days without driving my boat and it's just sitting in the water. And if I had a floating dock, I could just like a floating sinking dock. I could park it on it, float it up, get it out of the water, keep barnacles from growing on the boat. They can grow on the dock, whatever, who cares? That would be a really useful thing. The only thing is I want to have a good way to get the air into it. Like I don't want to have to just run a compressor all the time. That would be kind of annoying. I don't know. It wouldn't have to have much air pressure. I don't know. I have to think about it. I'm not on that right now because I have a whole bunch of other stuff I'm working on. Bob asks, do you have the Pure Life living troll problems? I don't know what their problems are. Might have some trolls under your bridges. Well, I do have a bridge, and there are no trolls under it, I'm pretty sure. Hi, gang. Mata Solo says, wishing you all a great Sunday. Thanks for the live streams. Well, you're very welcome. Mata Solo, bearings. I don't know what you. I do love bearings. Like ball bearings. Okay, Pure Living for Life had people create a website and recruit unwitting accomplices to harass and stalk them. The video was a call to action to gather evidence because the evidence they have is apparently insufficient for law enforcement to take action. That is, if it isn't the FBI or some government entity spurring on the off-grid targeted trolling. Oh, that's annoying. So, did my thing freeze again? I'm frozen in a kind of silly pose right now. I don't know if it's frozen for everyone else, but let's just do the little camera trick. Okay, so what are these guys named? Off grid. Oh, Pure Living for Life. So apparently, someone or some people created a website to like get people together to stalk them. That's just like, it's like, it's kind of impressive that they got all that organized, but like, why waste it on that? Unless these Pure Living for Life guys are terrible or something. I don't know. Maybe they need to be stopped and they're like horrible, evil people, but I don't know. I don't have problems to that degree, no. And I don't know, people online, I don't know, they complain about me. You know, I've been canceled a few times, but I mean, whatever. I mean, like I'm here on my island. This is the most important thing to me. I don't really care that much if there are a whole bunch of people who hate me online. There was a guy years ago who kept putting my address all over, and that was kind of stupid. Partly because my address, my mailbox was like a mile away from my house. Okay, is this freezing again, or is it just my thing? Is like having some kind of mental problems. Okay. Everyone on the internet should be required to watch the Pure Living for Life videos on bullies. So many people were duped into becoming criminals, and the ringleader might get away scot-free. Oh, that's terrible. It's not polite to talk about his security measures. He can't reveal the most important measures without enabling someone to compromise them. Yeah, so that's kind of why he's talking about when the guy asked me about defending myself and my family. Like, yeah, I mean, there's things I'm just not going to mention because if someone knows what what I have and what I can do, then they're more likely to be able to defend against that. But suffice it to say, I'm a fairly scary person when I need to be. How often does your water tank get too full? Huh. I mean, it overflows. It has an overflow, so it's fine. What do you do with the emergency overflow? So my water tank is outside, just like on the side of a hill, and it has a hole that's big enough for me to climb inside it. Actually, there was a video where I had to get inside it and climb out. I barely fit, but like it's a pretty decent sized hole. And there's a concrete cap on top of that. So when it rains a lot and you know it gets full and it's overflowing, water just comes out around the edge of that cap and just rolls down the hill with all the rest of the rain. So yeah, it doesn't really. The only thing that it does is I get to look at it and I see it coming out and I'm like, ah, I'm full. Yes. But yeah, there's no other issue other than that. The rain catch tank, yeah. The fury of an aroused adventure builder. Yeah, you better be careful. You get an aroused adventure builder. You do not know what is going to happen. Jaimie, the people telling you you are starving your kids are just trolls that are only alive to get you riled up. Don't listen to that crap. You are feeding their delusions. Well, I'm not. I don't think I'm feeding their delusions. I think they brought up a useful talking point. So gave me something good to talk about. How important it is. I mean, the fact that the trolls brought up that they thought I was starving my kids wasn't the important part of what they said. It was just like an opportunity to talk about it. I caught Jaimie live. You're the man. Jaimie, you spelled your wrong. You are an inspiration. You're amongst friends. No need to be defensive, hopefully. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things I really like about these lives. Yeah, I don't feel any need to be defensive on these at all. Well, I mean, a little bit, because I know people are going to watch them after and then, And I actually didn't read any of the comments about how I was treating my children. It's just someone sent Deshana a message about it and was like, oh, you should probably tell Jaimie to be careful about saying this. And then she said something to me about it, and I was like, what? Anyway. Hey, Jaimie, what are your top 3 favorite video games of all time? Oh, hmm. Well, the Ultima series is the first one I think of, which is actually a series of like, well, I would count 8 different games. Ultima 1 to 6, and then uh, the Savage Empire. There are 2 like worlds of Ultima video games. The Savage Empire and Martian Dreams were also amazing games, and those were based on the Ultima 6 game engine, which was really good. And yeah, those games were amazing. So I'm just going to kind of lump them all together. The first Half-Life is the next one I think of, which was really good. The subsequent Half-Lives, even though they had better technology, the graphics were better and everything, just the story was not nearly as good as the first Half-Life. But they're all right. But the first Half-Life was really good. I really enjoyed that. Where you go to this alien world where things are weird, and there was a lot of weirdness. I thought that was pretty cool. Although Doom is pretty amazing. That's old. And let me see. There were some old Nintendo games I liked a lot. I like a lot of the older games that relied more on like story and imagination. Like they had to figure out a way to make things interesting when there weren't huge amounts of resources going into the graphics. So when there weren't crazy amazing graphics, they really had to be creative and imaginative to figure out how to make the games fun. And I really like those kind of games. And the Ultima games are like that. Like they're pretty old at this point. Like Ultima 3, it's just like I mean the graphics are, I don't want to say the graphics are bad because the graphics were pretty cool. It's just very pixeled and nothing in real time or anything. But yeah, it was just the story and the gameplay and everything was really, really engaging and interesting. And another one I think about is Wing Commander. I have not played that in a long time because I don't have the right joystick. I also don't have the game. Oh, you know what? Another game I just thought of is Dragon Strike. I loved that game when I was a kid. That was a pretty cool game. It was like a first person, like a flight simulator, but you're flying on a dragon. It was pretty cool. I liked a lot of flight simulators when I was a kid. I don't know, just because they were just fun. X-Wing, TIE Fighter. Now I've gone to like 10 different video games. Sorry, but yeah, that's some pretty good stuff. Probably my favorite old Nintendo video game is this game called Crystalis. And maybe in there I'd also throw The Guardian Legend. And I play those games once in a while too. My favorite Final Fantasy is the first one. Although I haven't played them all, but I've played a little bit of other ones here and there. But my favorite one is Final Fantasy. Oh, Tomaters is here. Hi guys, I made it. How you doing, Tomaters? Let's see. Be interesting to see how much energy it needs. Is that the lumber mill? Can't you make your own blade? Okay, this is about the lumber mill. Yeah, yeah, I could make my own blade for a lumber mill, but I don't know that I'm going to make one with carbide tips. And the blades are pretty cheap. And yeah, I mean, I could also make my own bandsaw blades, but still, I'm gonna have to, sharpen it all the time and stuff. Blue Loctite is liable to be on the wish list for all the bolts or fingernail polish. Blue Loctite. I'm gonna write that down. Blue Loctite. I don't know. I'm not sure if my bolts are going to shake loose. I guess I'll just have to keep an eye on it at the beginning and see how it goes. Cool. Tomaters has a question. Did you use all the stainless steel bolts I bought you on your wish list? No, I've not used them all, but that's what's going into the lumber mill. Oh, I love having stainless steel bolts, nuts and bolts around. So I always have more than I need. because I mean, obviously, if you get to the last one, then you're screwed. So I have not used all of them, but I have used them. I am using them for sure. Yes. Thank you for sending me some stainless steel bolts and nuts. That was yes. Oh, Giant Oak says, sadly, I'm average oak, but I can dream. Hey, man, oak is good, regardless of the size. Love the saw project. Yes. Hey, it froze again. I have to admit, it is a little bit funny every time the camera freezes. You know, sure, it's an annoying thing, but now it's kind of becoming a game. Like, what stupid face is it going to freeze me on? You know. So you either need a wind-powered PVC pipe with check or a regular air compressor that runs off solar. This is to make a floating and sinking dock. Yeah, something. Although there's a dock I think I'm going to make before that one, which is just a floating dock, like a styrocrete dock. Yeah, I know totally how I would make that, and it would be useful. So on my island, there are 2 places that I go to swim, not counting like going out in the boat to swim. So I have this little beach, which is a little sandy beach, and it's sandy for a little bit, but then it pretty quickly gets kind of mushy and like, you know, seagrass and stuff. And then it's shallow seagrass for pretty far. So, you know, it's not good for like deep diving or anything. But then on another side of my island, there's a spot where I can walk out and it very quickly drops off. So that side's great for you know, jumping in and, you know, swimming deeper and stuff. And on that deeper side, I want to make a floating dock that, you know, basically makes it so I can go from the land to the deep water without having to walk through the mush. So I kind of want to do that soon. Let's see. Thanks, Dan Duval, for the welfare check. I am still kicking strong. Excellent. Rainwater-powered air compressor. Well, the rainwater-powered air compressor would be tricky when it's not raining. But yeah. Have you ever thought about, I bet I have. Whatever it is, I bet I've thought about it. Ooh, yeah. Have you ever thought about pumping water to the top of your hill? Oh, no. You know what's annoying is how do you get the comment here to not disappear? Because they keep fading, so I have to keep touching it. Anyway, have you ever thought about pumping water to the top of your hill to a holding tank during the times you have lots of sun, and then basically using it as a battery and having the water come down and run a turbine? Well, I have thought about that, but I've thought about more just having a pond on the top of the hill that'll fill with rainwater, and then have, you know, tube coming down to a generator, and then just a valve I can open and just charge up the batteries anytime I want, or just run things from that sometimes, which I'm considering doing. The thing is, it's not that big up on top of the hill, and I'm flattening it out to make a nice field. And I definitely want to put one building up there, not a big building or anything, but I want to put one building on one side. And even with a little building there, there's enough space to like play frisbee, you know, have some soccer, football games, maybe some volleyball, although I feel like the ball is going to get lost off the hill too often. But like there's enough space to play catch and, you know, do some sporty stuff. But if I put a pond up there as well, that's going to take up a big chunk of the area up there. And I kind of want to have like just a grassy field where I can run around with my kids and stuff. So I don't know, but I am thinking about it. I could definitely put a pond up there, and it is definitely a possibility. Yeah. Is the SAW project mobile? Will you move it by boat? No, I want to put the SAW somewhere and just leave it there. Although theoretically, I could put it on my biggest boat. Well, I could put it on my medium-sized boat, but if I was going to do it, I would put it on my biggest boat, and I could just have it attached on that and use it on that. But no, at least the thinking I'm doing right now is that I want to have the lumber mill set up in one spot and bring logs to it for various reasons. I mean, one of them is that I want to have all the sawdust. Like I want to get all the sawdust on my land and use it in gardens and stuff like that. Basically use it as landfill, have it turn into dirt. Oh, Jaimie, what is it? I don't know what this symbol is. Something from Malta. Watching from Malta. Hello, Frederick. Must log out. Have a great day, everyone. Adventure Builders for life. Have a good day, Mr. Landfill. He told me why his name was Mr. Landfill. I forgot now. It's because he went to the landfill? No, I don't remember. I bet someone in here remembers because he told us like last week or the week before. Hope all is well. Nice work on that mill so far. Very promising. Yeah, it's going really well so far. Your creation, inventing, and allowing your children to participate in the process is outstanding, to say the least. Well, thank you. Yeah, I think my kids are having a great time. Oh man, Wing Commander was awesome. Wasn't that a great game? Oh, I love that game. That was really good. I didn't play the later ones, but like the original Wing Commander and maybe like the second one. Really good. You can play a lot of those old games on Pi emulators. Yeah, totally. Like Raspberry here. Look at Emulation Station and RetroPie. A game I've been playing recently is Mech Warrior 2 and Mech Warrior 2 Mercenaries. And like it's a game I played when I was a kid and I liked it. So I was like, well, let me just play it whenever I'm, hanging around and I need a break. And that's the way I usually do video games like that. Like if I'm working on stuff all day and, I've been like going for like 3 hours and then I get to a point where I'm like, oh, okay, I got to stop here and figure out what the next things. Sometimes I'll just be like, well, let me play a video game for like 10 minutes and just kind of clear my mental palate, sort of, So I started playing Mech Warrior 2 a little bit. And my son and my middle daughter are totally into it. Anytime I turn it on, they're like, whoa, do camera views so we can see the robot walking around. Oh, they love the giant robots. And that makes it, twice as fun. They're all like, telling me which blasters I should use and how I should organize the robot. And I'm like, I don't know, maybe we should put more heat sinks. And they're like, oh no, you're right. Let's put more heat sinks. And they're making all these Lego robots. Wait, where is it? Okay, let me get one of their Lego robots. It's pretty cool. Give me a second. Well, this one's come apart a little bit. Let me just put its head back on. Okay, check this out. I mean, it looks better when it's standing because it gets its legs doing the right thing. Like, check that out. It's this one. I don't remember what they said this one was. It was one of the big robots from Mech Warrior. It's got like a claw grabber here and some kind of blaster over here. Check that out, man. Hold on, I have to hold it still so the camera can catch up. Yeah, so my kids have been super into that. And so that makes it twice as fun because I know that anytime they come and watch, they watch the video game of the. Oh, did this freeze again? Nice. So anytime they watch the video game of these giant robots, I know they're just going to get inspired to go grab their Lego and build more of these giant robot things, these mechs. So anything that inspires my kids to be creative, I totally get more into it. That's cool to hear, Jaimie. Yell when you need more. Oh my gosh, I can never get enough stainless steel bolts. No, I'm good right now though. Yeah. I'm not surprised about the Ultima choice. Yeah, Ultima. Those are really good games. I feel like there are some parallels between the Adventure Builder Club and the Ultima series way of picking your character alignment. Yes. So in the Ultima games, Ultima 1, 2, and 3 were just kind of like standardish Dungeons and Dragons kind of like turned into video games kind of things. And then a lot of parents were complaining that Ultima 3 and the earlier Ultimas were not teaching good lessons. So, it was valuable to be a thief and to steal things. Like it really helped you in the game. So the guy who made the games, Richard Garriott, he got together with a friend or something I don't remember what I got this whole story at some point, but they decided to make Ultima 4 based around this ideology. And I know the whole thing because I played the video game and got through it, and you learn this ideology, and you have to play with the right morality or you can't finish the game. And it was totally amazing. And that was one of the big inspirations for my philosophies that ended up turning into the Adventure Builders Club. Pinwheel turbine. I recommend the wait. Oh, sorry. I commented on one of your lumber mill videos. I recently watched a video that had pretty compelling arguments, evidence that split lock washers are actually of negative value. Well, the thing is, the split lock washers, they're useful if you want to keep some springy pressure on something, but in a situation where it could move a little. I don't know. I'm sure. I often don't use split lock washers. But yeah, maybe I should. I don't know. I feel like I have a pretty good grip on those. And they can definitely be of negative value in a lot of circumstances. I've heard that solar panels get less productive when they get hot. Yeah. Is it worth it to rig a water trickle cooling thing? I don't think so. I think that's just going to be more complication than it's worth. But, if someone wants to try it, I wouldn't stop them. I use fake face freeze during video chats that get boring. Paul Elkins made a giant pinwheel, maybe a good generator. Oh. Also, Half-Life 1 is definitely in my top 3 as well. Such an awesome game. Yeah, so in Half-Life 1, there's it's interesting for a while because you gotta battle your way out of this destroyed laboratory, and it's a huge complex. And you're kind of underground and almost like you're left for dead, and you got to fight your way out. And you go through all this crazy stuff, and then finally, you get to a point where you're teleporting to where all these monsters are coming from. And when you actually get through the teleporter, you just end up in this crazy world that's just weird. And then there's this big thing that comes that attacks you, and it spits spiders at you, and it's just like, what is going on? Yeah, that was the coolest part of the game when I just got there and was like, oh, it's so weird. I think I played that part a dozen times just because I was like, oh, I want to play that part again. They either compress completely useless or don't, and thus contribute to slowly working bolt loose. Oh, so this is split lock washers. Yeah, exactly. Build a water tower. Well, I don't really need a water tower because my the water tank for my house is on a hill that's high enough that I get gravity feed from it. So I guess it's sort of like a water tower, just surrounded by dirt. And then I guess if I build a pond on the top of my hill, I guess that is sort of a water tower. It's just the tower is made out of water. Man, now I'm starting to think more and more that making a pond up at the top of the hill would be worth it. If I put a pond right in the middle of the top of the hill, then we could still run around the pond. And there was this pond or this swimming pool. I didn't even know what to call it. This water place. It was at Bronte Creek in Ontario, and we used to go there. And there was this swimming pool. I don't even know if you can call it a swimming pool. It was like a pond, like an artificial pond, and it was huge, enormous. I don't even know how big this thing is, because I've not seen it as an adult. But acres. I mean, just like a big artificial pond, and it was lined with concrete, like a swimming pool. And people go there and swim and have an amazing time. And one of the really nice things is that it was concrete that sloped down, so you had you just walked into the water, and it very gradually got deeper, and so it was easy for little kids to play in the shallow zone, but then you keep going toward the middle, and it gets deeper and deeper. And it was that thing was I had so much fun there. It was really cool. So I could make a little version of that, like just a pond up on the top of the hill, dig it out to be a nice shape where you could walk down into the water, line it with concrete, make sure it's rough enough that you keeps grip on your feet, but not rough enough that you're going to scratch yourself. And I wouldn't be able to make it like really deep in the middle or anything if I want to be able to like walk into it, but it would be pretty sweet. And then have a drain in the bottom where a pipe comes down to a generator at the bottom. And then I don't even have to have it filled all the time, because I wouldn't want to leave it filled all the time, because I don't want to put chlorine and stuff in it, to keep stuff out. And I also don't want to have I don't want to have a complicated thing to have to deal with, like to keep the water good or whatever. So it rains here often enough that as long as I have the field around it kind of gently sloped toward it, it would fill up pretty easily with a decent rain. And then, we could play in the pond for a day or two. And then at some point, if it seems like it's starting to get whatever, or mosquitoes are starting to go in it or whatever, then just drain it and use it to charge up some batteries. I feel like that would be a pretty cool thing. Oh, my kids would love that. Make land in mangroves for your other products like house play area. Top of hill is for food. I don't know that I want to use the top of the hill definitely for some food, but I want to have some hangout zone up there, because it's really nice at the top of the hill, because it's so open, like you're above a lot of the trees and you can see super far. Down here at the lower levels, it's nice too, but you are kind of contained by the trees. So it's a different experience. So I definitely want to have some hangout zone at the top of the hill. And I want to plant a lot of food on the sloping part of the hill. So I want to have the top of the hill like a little sports area kind of. And then a lot of the land is sloping down. So from the top of the hill, everywhere it slopes down, I want to plant all that with food. Piloted his wheelbarrow to landfill because you inspired him. IIRC. What is IIRC? I forgot. Okay. Question: what is the swing, high and low, of your tide? Okay. Could that energy be trapped for a floating dock? Okay. The tide here goes up and down roughly 2 feet. Maybe a little more, 2.5 feet. I mean, like less than a meter. Less than a meter. On the Pacific side of Central America, it's like almost 2 stories. I mean, the tide goes up and down way more. But here in the Caribbean, it doesn't go up and down that much. I could probably find a way to use that tide to like operate a floating, sinking dock in some way. So I just thought of a couple mechanical ways I could do it, but yeah. I create a game where the cyclist gets even on motorist. Oh no, I don't know what that means. I create a game where the cyclist gets even on motorist. I'm not sure what that means. Did you see the Hacksmith's latest giant hex robot? Thought of you instantly. Yeah, we were talking about that earlier. Someone said it didn't turn out that good. I don't know. That is a pretty sweet mech robot. Yeah, I know it. That Lego thing, that's cool. They have a whole bunch of mech robots. And it's funny, they each kind of have their own styles of building them. Like that one is my 10-year-old's. And my 4-year-old also builds mechs, but he builds them totally differently. And I don't know if I don't know. They're around, but he makes them shorter. They're stockier. And at first I thought he was making one of the stockier ones, because there's some of the robots, the Novas, they're short and wide. But he's like, no, this is a Hellbringer, which is like a tall guy. And I'm like, why is it so short? He's like, that's how I make it. So it's sort of like all his versions are like a cartoony, shrunken down, like short and wide version of them, and it's pretty funny. Let's see. Quite a few studies that were set out to prove that video games are bad influence in children's education turned out to show the opposite. Yeah, so video games, I mean, like a lot of things, like so much of the world we have today can be used in a positive way or a negative way, depending on what you're doing with it. So if you spend like 12 hours a day playing video games, obviously that's going to be a bad thing because you're not going to get any exercise, you're going to forget to eat, like your health is going to go down the toilet, right? But if you use video games as something to like kind of like spur your imagination and kind of motivate you in various ways, then it's a very positive thing. So it really depends on how you do it. When I was a kid, I played video games and I learned a lot from video games. One of the things I learned a lot from like role-playing games was like how to handle resources. Like you end up in situations where it's like you have ways of getting gold coins, and you have things you want to spend it on, and you have to think about how you're going to arrange this to get the stuff you really want, because you don't want to waste time on the intermediary steps of what you kind of want. You really want to get, so you know, there's a lot of just thinking about how to deal with what ended up being how to deal with money. And because I learned that stuff playing video games, when I got to the point where I was like, okay, I want to save money so I can buy land and go off grid, it was like just very obvious. It was very easy. I was like, yeah, I've done this in video games. I know how to do what I need to do to get the money and then save it and, you know, whatever. And then another thing is one of the reasons I really liked like flight simulators and like, you know, action games is because it really gets your, you know, it teaches you good coordination and all that. But then another thing it teaches you is persistence. So in a lot of video games, you know, that are kind of hard or whatever, you have to learn something. And it doesn't matter what you're learning in this case. You know, you're just learning to push the button at the right time, whatever, or aim the joystick, which isn't some great skill to learn, but learning to learn the skill, that's the really valuable thing. And this is something that a lot of kids lose today because they have so many video games. They have like 150 video games. So they'll play one video game for like 30 seconds. It gets hard. Let's get rid of that one. Let's put a new game in. And they just jump from game to game to game, never getting involved. But when I was a kid, it was like, you get one video game. And that's all you're getting for like 6 months. Like you get that video game and that's it. So you play it for like 10 minutes and it's hard. It's like, but you don't have anywhere else to go. You can go do something in real life, but if you want to play a video game, this is the video game you're playing. So then you have to like develop this persistence, this stubbornness, this determination, and say, okay, this is hard and I can't get through it, but I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to learn. I'm going to figure it out. And that learning that level of determination is something you can definitely do in video games if you do it the right way. Oh, you think you'll be able to sell sawn lumber? Yeah, sure. I mean, that's not why I'm making the lumber mill, but yeah, I could sell lumber if I wanted to. Yeah, a pond with sweet little fish. Okay, so if I do a pond with little fish, then I can't drain the pond all the way for sure. That is also a consideration, though. I mean, is that a consideration or a possibility? It's one of the options I'm thinking about. But I'm still, you know, pretty far away from making a pond. So, you know, I have some time to figure that out. Well, now one advantage to having fish is that I could then do like a fish, what's it called? Fish hydroponic kind of thing, where, you know, the fish water feeds the plants and then the plants can feed the fish. Instead of a pond, you could build a swale. A ditch built on contour of the hillside. Oh God, what's a swale? I need to look up what a swale is. Okay, let's see. A ditch built on contour on the hillside, and then just have like kind of a pond on the side of the hill. Anyway, Child services are an integral tool for the state's ability to suppress its population. Yeah, totally. Don't even get me started on that. Like whenever I talk about how parents should be responsible for their own children, the obvious argument is always like, what if they're doing it wrong? I mean, like, yeah, but you can't set all the rules based on the fact that something might go wrong. You have to base your rules around the idea that things can go right. So if just because some parents are going to do a terrible job and kids are going to end up in these horrible situations, that doesn't mean you should destroy all parenting for everyone, right? Because sure, you're saving a couple kids at the expense of all the rest of them. Like there's got to be better ways to. I could go on about this for a while, and it's complicated problem. We need like an hour to get into it all. A water tank would create more pressure. Well, than a pond. I mean, if I put the water tank up higher, then yeah. But okay, hydroponics food. I'm not sure if you want to go there, but what are the dimensions of your island and how much flat habitable area percentage versus woodland or hillside, etc.? How big is the hilltop you mentioned once flat? The hilltop, maybe half an acre-ish, maybe not even that big. Maybe like, I don't know. Obviously, it depends on how much I end up flattening out. But let's say a quarter acre or so, somewhere around that is what I want to flatten out at the top. And the whole island, like this island and my little one right there, which is connected, a couple acres? I don't know. It's, I mean, I don't know. I'd have to double check. It's big enough that I could conceivably grow all my own food here if I was very deliberate about it. Although I don't need to because I have some other land. But yeah, that's a rough estimate. I'd have to check the survey to really get a good idea. I haven't thought about how big it is in a while. Oh yes, and please use metric for this answer if possible. Oh, Frederick Brinkrat, I already answered the question before. Well, an acre is like 4,000 square meters, and a hectare is 10,000 square meters. So a hectare would be the metric measurement. So less than a hectare. Does that help? Oh, IIRC is if I recall correctly. IIRC, if I recall correctly, right. The cyclists get fed up with bad motorists, so the game will be a shooter game. Bye-bye, bad motorists. Yes, Monkey Island. So I have a friend who moved here recently, like a few months ago now. And he keeps telling me about this video game called Monkey Island that I need to play. And he's like, "You've never played Monkey Island? I can't believe it. You need to play it." So, and I do remember when I was a kid, I saw the advertisement for Monkey Island, but yeah, I never played it. So maybe I need to look into Monkey Island. It was an 80s. Oh, I was an 80s space shooter, often play a game. Dude, Jesper, you need to work on your typing. It's hard to understand what you're trying to say to me. Okay, you liked 80s space shooter games at the Swimming Leisure Center. Okay, I think I'm getting what you're saying. Never had much money to go to arcades. Aquaponics. Oh, that's the word I'm looking for. Yeah, aquaponics. Do any saltwater fish spawn in your stream? Probably, but I don't see many fish in the stream. But like, I'm on an island, so there are fish around. And I haven't been fishing a lot lately. I mean, sometimes I do though, and I eat the fish, and my kids love fish. So, question, speaking of parenthood, doing things wrong, did you see Hacksmith's hexapod video? No. Wait, is that the one they got it walking, but had structural failure? Okay, yeah, well, it was like a half-hour video, and it didn't seem like it was going to be that interesting to me based on the first like 30 seconds, so I kind of skipped through it real quick. And yeah, I didn't really watch it. But now people are telling me about that. Okay, it's swales, not swales. You won't get the right search result otherwise. Swales. Okay, I'll look up swales and figure out what that means. How's the bridge going? Oh, yes. Get the saw finished, then get on with the bridge. Well, the bridge, I have to get some video of it. But that's what I've been working on with my kids, you know, the digging, where I starve my children because I'm so neglectful, and I make them dig dirt. Yeah, they've been helping me with the bridge. So I have not been working on that when they're not here. I only work on the bridge when my kids are here, and we all work on it together. And it's going pretty well. Well, I better hurry up and shut up, because I've been talking for like an hour and 46 minutes, so maybe 15 more minutes. So let's try to get through some of these a little faster. The original creators of Monkey Island made one more game to close out the series recently, and it's very, very, very good. All right, I'm gonna have to I'll just put +1. Return to Monkey Island. Oh, return. Return to Monkey Island. Oh, that sounds like a lot of land. You've got all your life set with projects and awesome possibilities. Amazing. Well, yeah, I mean, I have so many things to do, and every time I finish something, I just think of like 5 other things to do. There's so much to do. Larry Flint game, even more funny. Larry Flint, is that true? Anyway. I'm a research and development guy, i.e. I love puzzles and design constraints. I loved your Hexapod series and continue to watch just for your design vids. Thank you. Well, you're very welcome. Yeah, that's actually one of the things that I really like about building things out of scrap, like having a scrap pile, or some people call it an opportunities pile. Because if you just have like $1 billion and can buy anything you want, it's one thing. It's kind of easy to make stuff that way. But if you have like a pile of scrap, it's just really fun to figure out how it goes together to make the thing you want to make. And it kind of helps define a lot of the parameters that don't really have to have certain specifications. Then you just make those defined by whatever materials there are. If you ever get a chance, play No Man's Sky. I believe it's on PS4. I totally do not have a PS4. Lucas Games. Oh, I don't know what that means. Thanks for your time, good sir. You're very welcome. I never played Monkey Island, but everyone I knew at school, I think you're saying that everyone did play it at school. My favorite point and click game was Grim Fandango. Did you ever play it? I never played Grim Fandango. Is that good? I always wondered if earthworms could help a garden so near the salt water and raised beds. Yeah, totally. There are earthworms all over the place here. Well, I shouldn't say all over the place here, but in the ground. And then the salt water doesn't come up on the land. And I've heard a lot of people say things like, if you're on an island, you're going to get salt spray all the time. But I'm in a protected area, like I'm kind of in like this big cove, sort of. I mean, like a huge cove. Like it's the archipelago of islands where I am is protected from the open sea by partly by just like mainland that goes around it, and then partly by whatever the last island is. So there's an island next to me that's a big island, like it's miles. On the other side of that island, it gets a lot of waves, but here I don't really get salt spray coming up on the island or anything. Oh, let's see. Terracing your hillside wouldn't be a lot of work. You don't shy away from that. It maximizes flat, arable land area. Yeah, so I may at some point terrace. Well, I guess I kind of did terrace some of the land over there where I made the path going up. But I may terrace the slopes some more to plant more, ground plants. So far, I've mostly just been focusing on planting trees, so I don't have to terrace the land to plant trees on it. But yeah, I'll probably do some terraces at some point. Dude, dude, like totally, like limited resources, make for some really gritty design. Yeah, like totally, dude. Necessity is the mother of invention. Oh no, you did not. You did not just catchphrase me. Did you just catchphrase me with necessity is the mother of invention? I absolutely disagree. People say that a lot. But the thing is, we don't actually need any of this stuff. We could live like cavemen and be perfectly happy. So I would not say that necessity is the mother of invention. I would say more like ambition or imagination or stubbornness or things like that are the mother of invention. But like, yeah, when things get invented, they're generally not actually needed. People invent things because they want to, because they're interested in doing more. But you don't need to do more. Anyway, love it. Getting away from the perfectionism, that's our cultural norm, is lovely on my days off. Yeah, totally. Monkey insulting tactics. You gotta work on your typing again. Oh, Jasper, it's you again. You need to work on your typing. You must be typing on a tablet. Insult sword fighting. Escape from Monkey Island. I watch the long plays. MI4 never happened. I don't know what you're talking. This is all in the game. Thanks, Jaimie. Paul Robinson says, pardon me, was that who I was just giving crap about the necessity of the mother of invention? Yeah. Don't worry. I'm not upset or anything, and you shouldn't be either. Everything's cool. Laziness is the father of invention. Yeah, I could say that's a possibility because a lot of things people invent are to make it so you can be more lazy, which is, I think, the worst inventions. Necessity, that's a big word. I need a dictionary. Necessity is a big word. I think it gets overused. Laptop, bad eyesight. Oh, okay. Jesper says he just has bad eyesight. That's why his typing is bad. Well, I'll do my best to read sloppy typing anyway. Well, I think I've actually made it to the end of comments. Let's just reset the comments and make sure they're actually, where'd they go? Oh my God, they're gone. Comments are gone. No one can say anything else anymore. Oh, there we go. Are we home yet? Tomater says. Why are my comments disappeared? Okay, whatever. Yes, I must go feed my sheep. Oh, you have sheep? I totally want to get sheep. Yeah, but I'm not ready for animals yet. I still need to plant lots of food. Thank you for all your endless videos. All right. Well, I think we're on the goodbye, and everyone have a marvelous day part of the live. So I'm going to go and see if I can do something productive with the rest of my day. And I hope everyone else has an excellent, productive day. And yes, stay safe and see you next week. And I hope everyone has a great day. Okay, over and out. I'm over and outing. Working in harmony with nature is the best way to invent new products. Yes, gotta get on with the saw. Great lighting. Yeah, it's so much better when I put this up to block all that light behind me. Okay, I'm gonna get out of here, see if I can do something with this lumber mill, or I need to go eat something. I didn't eat yet today. All right, I am out of here. Everyone have a wonderful day.